Do we need another saturation plugin? Well, Waves think we do and presents BBtubes, a dual engine saturation plugin which might be just another saturation plugin or maybe even great. Let's go over what this plugin offers. I said dual engine because you have two big dials. The left is beauty and does mostly second harmonic saturation. And on the right you have Beast, which does mostly third order harmonics and also saturates way more. Because the plugin is based on tubes, you will get saturation and a bit of compression happening. That's why the plugin in itself can add a serious, solid, beefy sound to your audio tracks. Check these drums. The graphical interface is for the most part nicely crafted with good detail. The left big knob uses different graphics than the right. Same goes for the smaller knobs. There are weird 1 pixel wide lines on all knobs which are somewhat out of place and feel like an error in the GUI. All dials in BBtubes have an influence on the sound. This is obviously with the Beauty and the Beast, the BB dials. Type A will show a bit of high frequencies and Type B a bit more. Type B is a bit cleaner than Type A, it has less added harmonics. The transformer switch adds some extra harmonics and cleans up the sub-lows and has a low-end boost and tiny mid-range dips. This all adds a nice beef for instance, drums. The high shelf should be a 10 kHz shelf for both post and pre-processing, but it seems to be centered a lot lower, which I actually don't mind. The bass relief dial is a low shelf EQ which happens before the saturation, and it has a huge impact on the sound. This is with the bass relief at 0. It actually sounds like there's a broken tube happening, not really pleasant. Let me turn the bass relief up. Now the plugin does offer dry-wet mix control, but I prefer the bass relief dial. On this bass guitar, when I use dry-wet, it sounds like the saturation is a layer on top of the bass guitar sound. Which is of course exactly what is happening. If I go fully wet and use the bass relief and dial in the saturation, I get a much better sound on this bass. The bass guitar sounds way more solid. If I feel I need more low end, I simply add that with an EQ plugin afterwards. But the transformer switch usually is enough for my taste. You made it in the video so far, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest new cool plugins. This video is made possible by DistroKid. If you need to split the revenue of your releases with multiple collaborators, DistroKid has splits. This enables you to, very simply, split the revenue you make. Add as many collaborators for a release you want and decide how much of the cake they get in percentages. On top of that, you can set recoupments as well. So if you agree on a fixed fee instead of royalties, this is the way to do that. Get 7% off of your first year with DistroKit by using the link in the description. Now this plugin has the same, let's call it, issue as the Magma Lil Tube plugin. And that is that when you increase either beauty or beast dial, overall level increases. There's no gain compensation, and that means, to have a fair comparison what the plugin does, you're constantly adjusting output gain. Won't be an issue when you start a mix, but when you use BBtubes later in the mix, that will be a bit annoying. The plugin uses oversampling and you can adjust this. As far as I can check, this is a first in a Waves plugin. Now oversampling does affect latency a tiny bit. No oversampling is 0 latency. 8 times oversampling is 3 milliseconds. The CPU usage without oversampling is very little. If you increase to 8 times, is still reasonable for 8 times over. Thus BBtubes have a place in the current crowded, maybe even oversaturated market. It is just another saturation plugin, right? Maybe I'm an idiot, but I think it does. If you look at plugins as tools, then you will see that everyone will have their own preference what to use. There are plenty of users out there who would love a saturation plugin by Waves and will never get one by, for instance, Soundtoys. Now BBtubes isn't a complicated saturation plugin by any means, but maybe you need even simpler. For that, check out the Waves Magma Lil Tubes plugin. My video on it is displayed on screen and linked in the description below.